hockey at its roots.
I always say that the purest form of hockey is on the pond or on the lake.
Frozen water and a couple of nets.
That's where I grew up playing, so it's great feelings.
Two historic rivalries revisited.
Rebound loose in front, shot, Sturry scores!
6, 7 years there, we had one of the best rivalries in hockey.
I think it's going to be like this every time they get together.
Avalanche, Red Wings.
Larry on off and forth, and here comes Patrick Waugh out of the goal, and Waugh goes after the Red Wing players, and down they go, and away they go.
Denver and Colorado College.
You're going to remember this day for the rest of your lives. You want to remember that you won the game. So let's think about the process and let's go and take this game away.
One-timer score! Just like that, Denver is up 4-1.
From the Pioneers to the Avalanche. And it all plays out on Denver's newest frozen pond. Hello and welcome to Coors. I'm Aaron Matus. Outdoor hockey comes to Colorado for the first time ever. It's the Avalanche and Red Wings tonight, and a week ago it was the University of Denver beating rival Colorado College. 2 games under the stars, and for a couple nights in February, the players and fans get to feel like kids again.
We've been hoping to get an outdoor game here for quite a while now, and so to have it happen this year, our 20th year, and have Detroit come in and be the opposing team, I think it's going to be exciting. I think everybody you talk to in the city, they're all excited about coming out to Coors Field and watching the game.
It's a great venue for it, I think. Obviously, it's a great ballpark. You can, the views from some of the areas there of the mountains are pretty spectacular, and it'd be pretty cool to have a game there.
It's so much fun. I played the one in Calgary with the Flames against the Canadians, and it was unbelievable. You're in Calgary, we did in the football stadium, there was maybe 45,000 people.
So many of the players, past and present, have history with the game outdoors.
I had a school outdoor rink, maybe 500 meters where I grew up. I was there every day, from I was like 5 to 13. Loved it and playing outside. So it's going to be a great feeling being outside and playing, and cold in the face. But that's where I grew up playing. So it's great feelings and great memories coming back.
The fun part was it was kind of. Maybe it's hard for people to understand, but when you had wind, you were skating in the wind, you were so slow, you had the wind in your back, and you had to shovel the halfway in the game. It was, it was like a natural way to play the game. I always went to the bathroom when it was time to shovel the snow.
I was one of those kids, along with a lot of other guys, that just loved playing outside.
Eric Johnson grew up in Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. To a young hockey player, that's 10,000 rinks.
All the Bloomington, Jefferson kids, that's where I grew up. We'd go over to the neighboring city, Edina, and skate there, and all the Edina kids would be pissed because we'd come and kind of take over their turf. There's another place called Sunrise Park up in Bloomington where we'd go skate just by my house, and you could walk there, and it was nice for the parents too because they could just send the kids to the rink all day, and you could just go out and play, and just a lot of fun and a lot of great memories.
Johnson hasn't played outside much since he was a teenager.
So it's going to be quite a neat experience to play in the Mile High City and in Coors Field, and such a great atmosphere and tons of fans watching us, and it'll be a pretty cool spectacle for fans and players alike.
Denver and Colorado College provided the opening act. A DU record crowd of 35,144 people showed up last weekend to see the Pioneers beat the Tigers 4-1 at 20th and Blake.
In one word, it would be incredible. I mean, everything was perfect. The weather, victory, the crowd, the emotion of the night, and just the electricity in the entire course field.
You get goosebumps and kind of the shivers like you do for a lot of games, but this one was so special, you know, outdoors, you know, kind of looking around, and we came out of the Rockies dugout and you kind of can see through the stadium, see the mountains and the sun setting, and it was unbelievably special, and I was so excited to see how many fans there were for Denver.
What a great experience for all of us.
Up next is the main event, a game that's been 20 years in the making.
Once the playoffs are over, then I think you'll find out that it's probably a done deal and that the team is moving to Denver.
I think it's going to be great. I heard this is a really good sports town, and but you know, I think the American Football and Baseball League is bigger than our sport, but anyway, I think we're going to have good support.
I've put 20 years of my life aside to win and to win the ultimate victory. Now if we could bring it to Denver, I'll be so pleased.
This organization wanted to win a Stanley Cup, and they made some trades, and I was part of one of them. And obviously Detroit had a huge year.
We moved here. We had a really good young team. You know, basically they had the best team in the regular season. I think they had the most points all time regular season.
The two teams were on a collision course towards the Western Conference Finals.
Semifinals was the finals. Whoever wins those series wins the cup.
It was a series that would change hockey for the better part of a decade.
Can you feel it? Can you hear it?
Everything happens in the playoffs. All rivalries start there, and we had a heated playoff series.
Colorado and Detroit met in the 1996 postseason with a trip to the Stanley Cup Finals on the line.
The Avalanche were clearly the underdog. The Red Wings had the best record that season, and the Avalanche were upsetting that team. And I'll never forget, you know, as long as I keep broadcasting, Game 6 at McNichols Arena, and as the fans there that night, as the Avs were beating the Red Wings, the crowd, it just kept getting louder. And every time I kept thinking, that's as loud as you can possibly get, it would get louder. It all certainly goes back to during that game, Game 6, and the hit that Claude Lemieux had on Chris Draper.
In that particular game, I had, you know, made a commitment to be a bit more physical. Chris just happened to be there and, you know, finished the hit, and, you know, 20 years later, I wish I turned the other way.
He comes out to center. Draper's got a hold of it. Squashed on the board by Lemieux.
If you look at the replay, it happens right in front of me. Not only is my teammates, my best friend, you know, and I heard his face break.
And he looked to be in some severe pain, no question about it.
I broke my orbital, broke my cheekbone, my nose and my jaw.
A big dark cloud over the rest of my career and my accomplishments, and it was unfortunate for both myself and him.
And Claude Lemieux, who's walking by me right now, is done for the night.
We go out there, everyone plays hard, you win at all costs, but I mean, that's ridiculous. The whole right side of my face is bashed in.
The Avalanche won the game and eliminated the Red Wings.
2 seconds, 1, Colorado, how good does it feel? The Avalanche are going to play for the Stanley Cup.
And honestly, I didn't see Chris Draper till after the game. And I can't believe I shook Lemieux's hand. That really ticks me off.
If you'd seen Chris before you saw Claude, would you have not shaken his hand?
I would have probably speared him in the face.
He better be ready to deal with what he's going to have to face next season. It's not a threat, it's just something that's going to happen, and he's going to have to deal with it.
The Red Wings just said what goes around comes around, and that you'll be paying for that one day. Do you have any comment to that?
If that's the best comment they can have tonight, I tell you, then they better search for some answers for their 2 losses in a row.
Colorado went on to win the Stanley Cup in their first year in Denver. The two teams met 3 times the next season without incident. That 4th game, however,
it was in the air. Something was going on, obviously. It was a lot of writing in the papers.
Mike Keane, who was a great player for the Avalanche and not afraid to speak his mind, and he called out the Red Wings, you know, calling them, you know, chicken, and that they wouldn't do anything at McNichols Arena, that they were, you know, that that they were homers and wouldn't do anything. And of course, that's exactly what happened. They waited till they were at their building.
Would it be just too much for a 7-game series between these two clubs in the playoffs?
It was a weird night.
Building and building, and you could get a sense that there was something that was going to happen.
Another fight. Deadmarsh, and he lands some left hands on Konstantinov, and he goes down.
Yeah, it got ugly. There's no question. There weren't a lot of guys on either team's benches by the end of the game.
Forsberg taking a punch on the far side from Larionov, and they wrestle each other to the ice.
Who would thought me and Larionov was going to start anything? Like seriously, we didn't have a fight ever with anybody, and then we get blamed for starting it.
And Foote is taken down by McCarty, and here comes Patrick Waugh out of the goal, and Waugh goes after the Red Wing players, and down they go, and away they go. That's Adam Foote. He's got two guys, and now Vernon and Waugh get involved.
Darren got me good, and he really rung my bell, and I went down. There's nothing I would do.
When they say you sort of lose yourself in the moment, I sort of blacked out a little bit, and that's how mad I was.
The Wings won the game 6-5 in overtime.
Great play back in front. The score!
I think it was the greatest game I've ever played in and possibly ever watched.
For the people in the stands, when maybe the expectations go into the game, but what they got to see that night, it was, I think a lot of people paid a lot of money to see that game, especially for them. You know, home ice, they won in overtime, so many fights, so many things going on, and I would imagine if you ask a Red Wings fan who was at the game, they're probably the best game they ever seen.
I think that game helped their psyche, that year, and really helped them take off to win the cup that year.
Well, the fans can go home now.
I don't think we dealt really well with that game in March, and I think if we would have dealt better, I think we could turn the page faster and probably cost us a Stanley Cup maybe.
Detroit hoisted the Stanley Cup in 1997. The rivalry was still in its infancy. Welcome back to Coors. The Avalanche and Red Wings rivalry wasn't just the best in hockey. At one point, it was the best in all of sports. Yes, the Lemieux hit on Draper set it off, but it was bound to get started somehow. The two teams just saw one another way too often.
The intensity is the same as the last time they met. I think it's going to be like this every time they get together.
Colorado and Detroit, it was must see, and it was clear the two of the best teams in the league, and they didn't like each other.
Now we have some trouble brewing on the far side.
And had to go through each other.
They are bumped out of competition in the Conference Championship Series by the Colorado Avalanche.
And it was made for great TV. I think it was great for the league.
Meaningful and intense playoff series year after year.
I think there was two teams that had players that really wanted to win and would do everything to win. I think that's what it came down to. Our group, with Claude and Patrick and a few other guys, Joe, and everybody would do everything for the team to win. And unfortunately, Detroit has the same group of guys, so when we get on that 60, 26 meters on the ice, it was a full-out war.
More rough stuff from Point and Corbet. That's a bit of a mismatch. Now Shanahan on Corbet.
You know when parents start writing to ESPN that the games are getting a little bit out of hand.
That was really strange. Oh man, look at that. Adam Foote went into the boards.
And the kids that cannot watch it, you know they are serious games, that there's a lot at stake.
Full house on hand here tonight for this game.
The relationship remained vicious.
We saw Claude preparing for it before. I mean, everybody was stretching and he was preparing for something else.
Unhappy with his performance in the fight against Darren McCarty the previous March, Claude Lemieux wanted a do-over.
I'd planned for it, and I told Crawford, first game in Detroit, I'm going to fight McCarty.
There they are already talking, Lemieux and McCarty.
And then you see them lining up in the first face-off. All right.
He came and lined up to me, didn't say anything. I said everything, and I said everything that was not supposed to ever be said.
As they drop the puck, McCarty and Lemieux get right into it. And Lemieux has landed some right hands. Oh, look at this.
You came after me, I'm coming back at you. What else is anybody else going to do? I just fought you, tough guy. Leave me alone.
Look at the bench for the Avalanche. It just exploded.
You absolutely hated to play against the guy. And to me, sometimes that's the greatest compliment.
Later that season, Patrick Waugh at it again.
Now he wants to go with Osgood.
2 years in a row, 2 different goalies. I mean, they both wanted Patrick. So they both got him at center ice.
Look at that. That's unbelievable.
There's going a brawl on the ice, and Patrick calmly turns around, takes off his gloves, and takes off his helmet, and just slowly starts skating towards the middle of the ice and tells the other goalies, come on in here.
Holds on to Osgood, a left by Osgood, a right by Waugh. He connects on another right by Waugh, another right by Waugh. The sweater, Osgood's coming off. Waugh drives him back to mid-ice, a right by Waugh, connected, another right by Waugh, another right, uppercut by Waugh, a right by Waugh, a right by Waugh, an uppercut. He's holding on, he's doing great against Osgood at center ice. Yeah, you better believe it, baby.
I guess it's a different way to challenge, you know, saying, hey, I'm not afraid. Even if you're in your building, there's all Detroit fans around. I'll show them that I've got balls and I've got guts, and I'm gonna do it there, and then have no fear.
Patrick Waugh and Osgood at center. Osgood's coming back. Another right by Waugh. He's pushing him towards the Red Wing bench. They go down the pile, but Waugh won that fight. He absolutely won that fight.
The rivalry was at its peak from 1996 to 2002.
I think five out of 7 years that we had to play against each other in the playoffs to get to where we wanted to go. And you know, it's just too bad that one of those years you couldn't face off each other in the finals.
I mean, everyone knows, you know, about the hit, the brawls, and all that stuff. But the bottom line is, it seems that every year there's someone from Colorado or Detroit going into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
How many Hall of Famers are from those teams? It's pretty remarkable. It was a great rivalry. It was great hockey, and it was very intense to play and a lot of fun for sure.
When it was at its peak between the Avalanche and the Red Wings, that was the best that hockey could offer.
We wouldn't have never been as good as we were without them.
I think it was great for both organizations. I think it was great for the game of hockey. I wish in those days we do a crossover in the semifinals, then we give us a chance to play for the big prize in the finals.
Players would change, and Detroit moved to the Eastern Conference in 2013. It's true, the rivalry will never be the same.
You can't ever duplicate it. You can't fabricate something like that.
Colorado versus Detroit remains special because although rosters turn over, the fans stay the same.
The hatred for the Wings is still there, and you know, I think we want to win it for them as much as for us.
And the rivalry lives with those that witnessed it. Colorado and Detroit, bad blood and great hockey. The two teams combined to win 5 of the 7 Stanley Cup championships between 1996 and 2002.
And after 22 years, Raymond Bourque!
And at the end of it, it was Apollo and Rocky, boom, both fall down and made each other better.
What a terrific effort by the Avalanche.
As you move away from it, I think we all respect one another that much more now that you know, after going through that heated rivalry and to where we are now, I think we all appreciate that we had an opportunity to be part of something special like that.
It was a great rivalry because it was really good hockey, and that's what kind of gets lost in it. And I think at the end of the day, Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg, even those Adam Foots, I remember more of the overtime games, the hard-fought, high-skilled games. I really have nothing but admiration for those guys, you know, Kaminsky's and all. These were tremendous players and challenged us to be our best, and they won sometimes and we won sometimes. It was tremendous hockey.
And now, another chapter to this historic matchup.
I know the fans here are still, you know, thirsty for another game
Avs against the Red Wings. And every time you talk to fans that have been here for a long time, they always bring that up, and they always seem to get a little fired up when they start talking about it.
Wings and Avs at Coors Field, the first professional hockey game ever in Colorado.
It's a one-game playoff. You know, there's so much hype around the game. There's so much excitement in the city. This will be fun. This will create a lot of buzz in the city, and it'll be a lot of fun for us to play.
We're just as excited about it as our fans. I know our fans are pumped up. It's going to be a great experience for them and the city of Denver, and you know, the town will be really excited and buzzing for the game.
And now it's time for hockey history in Colorado. Puck drop is just minutes away. Stay tuned after the game for the second part of our show, Course to Coors. We'll go all access with the Denver Pioneers, look back at last night's alumni game, and much more. Avs and Wings are up next. Enjoy the game, everyone.